All right, welcome back. All right, I know it's hard to believe, but school is on the horizon for a lot of us. And I know, if you're really well planning, you're starting your school shopping already. I'm still trying to find a bathing suit for this summer, but it is back to school. And we've got Paula Weddington here. You are the writer and columnist for the Monroe Evening News, and
Correct.
your area of expertise.
Family finances. Anything to do with families.
Family finances.
Family finances. Mm-hmm.
So my contention is or my experience really has
Yes.
been that back to school is the financial whammy that you forget about every year. I mean, I had sons, they weren't into, I gotta have this outfit or that outfit, but just all of the expenses are so, they're just copious amounts of money that's going on in the house, more so even than Christmas.
Could be.
Talk
could
about,
be.
does it catch people off guard?
I really think it does, because every year people start thinking, okay, I'm going to cut back, I'm going to reuse some of these supplies from last year, I've got leftover paper, or I've got a backpack that's still good. But then here's what happens: it's going to cost more than what you can possibly imagine. It's going to take you by surprise no matter what. You're going to, people start thinking about this in July, but they don't want to think about it. Then in August they start getting serious about shopping, and then they start seeing what the prices are. And it can just really take you by surprise.
We've got a few of Paula's thoughts here, Paula's ideas in terms of that. And that was the first part of it, is that expect to spend
more than you think.
Expect to spend more than you think. You think, you're going to spend a little, you always spend a lot. This is a really cool thing from Huntington called the Backpack Index. And when we look at this Backpack Index, you think it's pretty right on. 576
I think so.
for elementary schoolers. 762 for middle. Like, what if you have two middle schoolers?
Then it's per student. It's per student.
And then the top number is that over $1,000 for a high schooler.
Yes.
That was another one of your points, is that the older they get, the more they cost.
The more they cost. And one of the things that you need to remember is back to school is not just the paper and the pens and the backpacks and maybe your lunchbox. And then people might start thinking, okay, it's the clothes. The kids are going to be fashion conscious. Well, see, now we're getting into things that are school related. Music supplies. You're going to rent your music instrument.
Oh, that's the stuff people don't think about.
In a lot of school districts now, if you play sports, you're going to pay a sports participation fee, and that's in addition to whatever fundraisers you're getting involved in. Maybe you're going to serve dinner at the spaghetti dinner to raise money for your club. How far can you push that? Do you need the team T-shirts?
Yes, you do.
Yes, you do.
Okay, so here's in those numbers that we were showing you in terms of each level of high school or junior high, elementary, just from last year. 5% increase for elementary and middle schoolers. 5% more, 5.3% more people are going to be expected to spend. And high schoolers, almost a 10% jump from last year. Are these prices of these things that we're buying, the binders and is that stuff going up?
Some of it is. Yes, right. And then you're going to find new gadgets. It wasn't all that long ago when people were starting to buy flash drives, so you can put your homework on the flash drive. Well, in the older grades now, it's becoming common to get the little tablets, electronic tablets. Even if they're used at your school, you might want one at home. And the graphing calculators, one of our biggest headaches was the year we had to buy one.
Those are expensive.
They're expensive, and there's no good way around it.
No, you have to have those. If you're going to take math at a higher level in high school, you have to have one of those calculators. Or I guess you can get them from the school.
Right. And my daughter did try and borrow one from the school for a while, but after, at a certain point, she says, I really think I should have one on my own,
Right, they always, I think I need one of my own.
Yes.
I don't think I want to borrow anymore.
Right.
So, but those are the expenses, like you're saying.
Those
That's
are
not even
expenses.
the fancy shoes. Those are the
Correct.
things.
Correct.
On this backpack index here, some other things. Are most schools doing the pay-to-play now in terms of sports, or a lot of them?
The last time I checked into it, probably about 3/4 of the schools I looked at in Southeast Michigan, Northwest Ohio were doing that kind of thing. Some of them have dropped it because they find out that the students families just couldn't afford it to a point.
To do it.
Right. So there's been a lot of back and forth. I've noticed.
What are some tips? I mean, how do you try to survive this? I was not good at it. I mean, we went and bought the stuff and I grumbled about it.
Right.
I mean, I wrote a column one time about all the moms just walking around, office
in a daze.
with these lists, because you need this size binder, it needs to be 1.5 inches, and you need one for every stuff. I mean, at one point I wrote an email to the teacher I either need to get my kid a Sherpa or you need to take some of the stuff off this list.
Sure,
There's
sure.
more in his backpack
Right.
than he weighs.
Right, right. And you'll find in Michigan, actually, the public schools don't send out lists. They might have, a couple might have suggested lists, but it's assumed that, buy what you can and they'll just roll with it.
So so in terms of suggestion,
Yeah,
what
okay.
what do we do? What do we do? Like
What
I
do you
said,
do? You're going to have, as parent, you're going to have to set priority. Yes. Find out from your kid what he or she really wants to do. For my daughter, she was into Girl Scouts.
Okay.
Anything to do with Girl Scouts, we're there. We're arranging the carpools. We're selling the cookies.
You were
we
all
were there.
in.
We were all in. But then, her choir wanted to do a trip to New York City, and we're like,
she was less into that.
Yeah, she knew that we couldn't. We
Okay.
couldn't put in the time and the money and the fundraising effort to make that happen.
Okay.
So she didn't go to the New York trip with the choir.
So
And
you
she
kind
was
of
okay
took
with
the
that.
year. You took a look at the year and thought,
Took
these
a
are
look
the
at the year.
things we can do this year.
Right.
Pick your
Right.
favorites.
Right. And then another thing is, wait until they get into high school, and you may remember this from high school, and they start talking about the class rings, and they start talking about the varsity jackets, and a lot of parents will say, no, I don't want to. They don't, they're not going to use these after high school. You know what? I don't see a problem with that. But buy them early so that the kids get as much use out of them as possible. You're
Yeah.
going to want a jacket anyway.
Those are actually the expenses
Yes.
that you forget about. The
That you
high
do
school
forget about that.
jackets and the class rings. The other one
Yes.
is the yearbooks. That's like
The
a
yearbooks.
$75 expense you have at the beginning of the
You're going to
year.
have that at the beginning of the year. As far as school portraits, if you haven't seen it yet, you certainly will. Most schools now are doing portraits twice a year.
What is the deal with that?
Right, there's the yearbook
Once
pose,
a year,
and then
people.
there's the spring, what they call the informal pose.
The informal pose.
Informal
'Cause you're
pose.
so formal for that first day of school one with your bow
Well,
tie.
and then senior pictures. Wait until senior pictures come around, and you're just going to be mind-boggling. Where it was the very formal years ago, and then maybe one extra pose. Kids are doing now the equivalent of model shoot these days.
Well, it is somewhat. I
Yes.
mean, they see gorgeous photos online, and they
Yeah.
think that's the way they should all look. And they have a higher and higher expectation. I blame
Right.
Pinterest, by the way.
That would, yeah.
I mean, they do look at
See
those
this?
photos and think that's. I didn't pay for any of the extras. That's my little
Right,
tip
right.
with the photos. First of all, I got the base package, and I still have thousands of small, tiny pictures in the drawers of every
And
single.
then
kid of
ask the
mine.
relatives and friends, what photos do you really want?
Right.
Because when I started talking with our family members,
don't-
I
we
see
don't want
here,
pictures of-
that was way too many photos to buy.
Right.
The one that the one that my husband and I have chosen to hang up in our house is not the same one that Grandma wanted.
Okay.
Okay, so then we kind of had an idea going into the senior year as to what photos we're actually buying, and we're not trying to buy the full package in every opportunity.
Well, I did,
That
and then
did
I
save
never
some money,
paid for
yeah.
the zit removal. You can do that where you have the fuzzy. It's like, hey, you got it, flaunt it. You're a teenager. That's what it's
So-
all about.
So
Well,
it's going to cost way more than you ever thought.
Did you, in terms of shopping, do
Yes.
you see a lot of people bargain shopping? Do you see a
Some.
difference when you go to some place like a Big Lots versus a Target versus a Walmart when you comparison shop? Do you see a lot of people doing that kind of thing?
I think people are more going in with a list of this is the stuff I need to get, and then they're trying. A lot of them are trying to go for maximizing their deals at the stores, because, for example, some of these bargain promotions you have to buy. I guess I call them bundles.
Okay.
Okay, to get the deal on the underwear, you're buying 5 packs of underwear, just randomly, it's a random example. And they just try and bunch everything up regardless of what store they're at.
Is buying early, like let's say now, is going out now going to get you a better deal, or waiting till the last minute going to get you a better deal?
As far as the better deal, it's hard to say. I think now's a good time because you're going to get the better choices.
So
Yeah.
if they want a red
If they
binder,
want- right.
there will be a red
Yeah,
binder.
they're going to get really, really picked over by the time, first and second week in September. And I would save anything you buy in September for things that you didn't expect to be coming.
Okay.
Yeah.
And in terms of college, let's touch on that a little
Right.
bit. We talked on that on the phone because you said, oh, probably people aren't interested in college, but because I have college-age kids, that becomes a whole nother
Sure.
level. I mean, forget about
Okay.
tuition. We
Yeah.
know
Right.
that's an expense.
Right.
But there are a lot of, and I first bought books for the sons on the main campus bookstore
Yeah.
sites, and there are so many. Mom and Dad, if you've got a new college kids, there are so many. You can buy them on Amazon. You can buy them on eBay. You can look for. There's discount resale sites all over the place for college books.
A lot
find
of the
that's
professors
biggest
will work
expense.
with you now if they, especially for the upperclassmen students, and you know what professor you're going to have for the upcoming class. Many of them now are getting, working with students and saying, here are the books. If you can find them cheaper, go for it.
Mm-hmm.
But then it'll give you some time to shop.
All right, let's tell everyone the name of your blog. So, because you have tips every single
I
day.
have tips every single day. I write a blog called Monroe on a Budget, and it's hosted by the Monroe Evening News, and it's pretty much become my niche topic.
That's
my
right.
niche.
You found your niche, and you go with it. And every day, it's a good little bit of advice on how to save a little money. Because as much as we tell the kids, "Oh, mom's just gonna shake the money tree," it doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist. Thank you so much,
Okay,
Paula.
well,
I
thank you.
appreciate it. I know it's kind of depressing to think of all this money we're going to spend.
It is a lot of money.
When we come back, Brittany Gibbons is back here, and we're going to talk about fat shaming. We're going to talk about, I wonder what she's spending on back to school for her little one. We'll talk about that too. Stay with us.